We have not been able to find Kaylee's body. Can you please help me find her body immediately before we start talking about anything else?
Mate, you're under arrest. Come out the address. Keep walking towards me. Keep walking towards me. Stay where you are, stay where you are, stay where you are.
In July 2016, 23-year-old Kaylee Sawyer went to a bar with a friend. The next day, her relatives tried to reach her, but could not find out where she was. Days after she went missing, a police officer came to the police station with something very important to say. In our first case today, we will discuss the mysterious disappearance of Kaylee and a breathtaking investigation. We will also witness the tragic end of birthday parties for sisters whose final moments were caught on camera. Brace yourselves. We're stepping into the crime scene now. Kaylee Sawyer was born on March 2, 1993, in Bend, Oregon. A bright, witty, and vivacious young woman, Kaylee was also a cheerleader who enjoyed immersing herself in nature. Despite her parents being divorced, she maintained close and warm relationships with both her parents and her stepfamily. After working as a dental assistant for 2 years, she decided to pursue a degree in dentistry. She lived with her long-term boyfriend, Cameron, and the couple planned to get engaged soon. On the night of July 23, 2016, Kaylee attended a bachelorette party. Initially, she had said she couldn't make it, but decided to attend last minute. After hours of dancing and having fun, she opted to end the night at another bar with a friend, not knowing that the night itself would end in an unexpected way. The next morning, Cameron woke up to messages from Kaylee's parents inquiring about their daughter's whereabouts. Cameron hadn't heard from Kaylee since the previous night, had tried reaching her, and had contacted all their mutual friends. Upon learning that her family hadn't heard from her either, Cameron, filled with worry, called 911.
Dispatch, how can I help you? Hello?
Hi. I'm not sure if this is quite the right number to call. Last night I got home from the bars with my girlfriend, and she got upset at me and ran off. And I chased her and wasn't able to find her, and I still haven't heard from her. Her phone's off. I called all her family, and they haven't heard from her, so I'm wondering what you recommend I do.
We can put in a call, and we can have officers or deputies look for her.
Okay.
And where was she last seen at?
College Way.
College and what?
Cameron and Kaylee last spoke at around 10:30 p.m. after leaving the party. A friend at the same bar informed Cameron that Kaylee had been dancing with another man. Cameron called Kaylee, who answered and indicated she wanted to be picked up from the bar. She also sent a text message apologizing after the call for dancing with someone else. Cameron arrived at the bar, and Kaylee got into his car. They drove to an apartment complex parking lot and engaged in a heated argument. During the argument, Cameron suggested that Kaylee step outside to cool down, and then he himself got out of the car. However, Kaylee was nowhere to be found. Cameron searched the parking lot, but couldn't locate her and sent messages asking her to come home. By the following morning, Kaylee still hadn't returned, so Cameron went to his friend's house and noticed that Kaylee's car was still there. Kaylee's family mentioned that it was normal for her to take a walk when upset, but she typically returned home after calming down. Additionally, Kaylee's mother found Cameron's story suspicious and pressed the police for a more thorough investigation. The police visited the bar where she spent the night and identified the man she danced with, but no progress was made after questioning him. Family and friends distributed missing person flyers and sought help from the local community. Meanwhile, a woman claiming to be a police officer arrived at the Redmond police station wanting to speak with the detectives. Isabel Lara had joined the Bend Police Department a year ago, and her revelations were set to change the course of the investigation. Officer Isabel Lara turned out to be the wife of 31-year-old Edwin Lara. Edwin, who had a criminal justice degree, was training to become a police officer while working as a security officer at Central Oregon Community College, just minutes away from Kaylee's home. Despite his varying work hours, Edwin had started his shift at 3 p.m. on the Saturday of the incident and finished after midnight. Isabel mentioned that she had fallen asleep before her husband returned home that night. Upon waking up the next morning, she noticed odd behaviors in her husband's actions. These strange behaviors persisted for a while. Edwin confessed to Isabel that he might have killed a woman. Horrified, Isabel asked how it happened.
He said that he hit her with the car at work. And I asked him, well, where is there any signs that you hit her or what? And he said that it was because of the grill, that no, there was no signs. And then I'm like, so what did you do with the body, what? And he's like, I hit her.
Edwin confessed that while driving the patrol vehicle he used for work, Kaylee suddenly appeared on the road, and he hit her with his car. Isabel, being a police officer, tried to console him, explaining that if it was an accident, there was no need to panic. In a panic, Edwin began pacing back and forth in the room before taking Isabel's gun without permission.
Grab anything other than he did grab my gun from my purse. And then he just kept saying, I need to go, I need to go. And then right before he left, he's like, there's her stuff in the shed.
How did you say?
He was seeing that like I was supposing me.
Just before leaving, he made another shocking revelation, stating that the woman's belongings were in the shed. Following Isabel's disclosures, a search warrant was quickly issued and a detective team was dispatched to the couple's home. In the shed in the backyard, they found a green bag with Kaylee's bloodstains, her passport, and a garbage bag containing various items. At the bottom of the bag, a stone with yellow hair strands and bloodstains was discovered. With these findings, the case of Kaylee's mysterious disappearance had now turned into a murder investigation. The Redmond Police Department promptly initiated a widespread manhunt to capture the armed and fleeing murderer. On the same evening, 19-year-old Andrea Mays finished her shift at work and got into her car. Before starting her journey, she posted a selfie on her social media account and then heard a voice coming from the passenger seat. The person who entered the car with a gun was Edwin Lara, wanted by the police. He told Andrea about the murder he committed and ordered her to drive. Initially, Andrea thought it was a joke, but she soon realized Edwin was serious, and she had no choice but to follow his instructions. On the way, Edwin shared details about the murder, while Andrea tried to conceal her fear. After a 3-hour drive, Edwin ordered Andrea to stop at a motel and threatened to shoot her if she attempted to escape. In a desperate situation, Andrea pretended to be Edwin's girlfriend as they checked into the motel. While Edwin showered, he handcuffed Andrea to the bed and gave her sleeping pills to ensure she slept. Concerned about potential harm, Andrea set an alarm on her phone, which eventually rang. When Edwin inquired about the alarm, Andrea fibbed, saying it was a reminder for her daily medication for sexually transmitted diseases, managing to keep Edwin at a distance. The next morning, they left the motel and headed towards Northern California. At a motel parking lot where they stopped, Edwin tried to kidnap a man sitting in his car, firing his gun when the man screamed. Continuing on their journey with Andrea, Edwin took them to a nearby gas station where he noticed an elderly woman with 2 grandchildren in a car. Pointing his gun at the older grandchild, he ordered the child to drive, taking Andrea, the woman, and her 2 grandchildren hostage for several miles. Edwin later left the family by the roadside and drove away. The kidnapped family promptly called 911 and reported the incident to the local police. At one point, Edwin demanded Andrea's phone and recorded a peculiar video.
Hi everybody, I just want to say that I apologize for everything I've done. Most likely I'm going to get caught. And sorry about that girl in Central Oregon. And I just want to let family members, Andrea, that she's fine and she will be fine because so far she's been doing what I've been telling her to do. You know, and if you guys are wondering if I have done dirty things to her, no. All right, I'm not that kind of guy. You know, I just...
Edwin then returned Andrea's phone and asked her to share the video on Facebook, showcasing his desire for notoriety. Unbeknownst to them, they were being trailed by the police on the highway. Edwin called 911 to share his story after speaking with his family.
Emergency reporting.
Yes, hi. This is Edwin Lara, and I'm the guy on Interstate 5 going at high speed. I know you guys have the chopper on me already.
Yeah.
And, I just want to say I am going to turn myself in.
Okay, where are you at?
Okay, I'm on I-5. I think close to Redding, if I'm right. So, you know, I am wanted for murder in the state of Oregon.
Okay. Edwin,
Yeah.
where are you at right now? Can you stop?
I am going to stop once I hit Redding.
Afterward, Edwin decided to surrender, pulled over the car, and was apprehended by the police. Surprisingly, Andrea was also taken into custody, but was later confirmed to have been a hostage and was released. During the interrogation, the police pressed Edwin to recount the events, focusing on locating Kaylee's remains.
We have not been able to find Kaylee's body. Can you please help me find her body immediately before we start talking about anything else?
Initially, Edwin claimed to detectives and his wife, Isabel, that he had killed Kaylee with his patrol car, explaining how he disposed of the body and cleaned the blood from his car and clothes. Detectives knew he was lying, as there were no signs of an accident on the road or the vehicle. Eventually, he changed his story, alleging he mistook Kaylee for a prostitute. Edwin eventually confessed and revealed what truly occurred that night. He had seen Kaylee walking alone near the university and offered her a ride home, a common practice for campus patrols at night. However, Kaylee declined to get into his car. Edwin exited the vehicle, and Kaylee screamed when she saw him approaching. Edwin Lara was charged with car theft, aggravated murder, and numerous other offenses, garnering significant media attention. As prosecutors pursued the death penalty, Edwin altered his statements, invoking his right to an attorney, and declined to answer further questions until consulting with one. The judge granted this request, deeming the confession inadmissible and nullifying the comprehensive 6-hour confession. Nevertheless, the trial featured ample credible evidence, including statements from his wife and most notably DNA discovered at the crime scene. Kaylee's family opted not to seek the death penalty in exchange for Edwin receiving a life sentence in prison without the possibility of parole. In April 2019, Edwin received a life sentence without parole, along with an additional life sentence for kidnapping Andrea Mays and crossing state lines. Public outrage was directed at Isabel Lara for waiting 2 hours before reporting her husband to the police. A couple of weeks post Edwin's arrest, Isabel filed for divorce, resigned from the police department, and left the city completely. Kaylee's family sued the college where Edwin was employed, revealing several campus security mishaps. It came to light that security officers had not undergone background or psychological checks, and uniforms and patrol cars were easily provided. The college administration acknowledged their oversight and paid the maximum legal compensation of $2 million. Before we dive into our next story, if you could take a moment to hit that like button, it would mean the world to us. A single click for you is a huge boost of encouragement for us. Biba Henry was born on June 6, 1974, in London, the capital of England. Her mother, Mina, was the Church of England's first black female archdeacon, serving as a priestess. Her father, Herman, was the owner of a construction company, having previously pursued a career as a boxer. Growing up in a loving family, Biba was adored by those around her and was described as an extraordinary person. She dedicated herself to helping the most vulnerable members of society and their families, taking on the responsibility of transporting disabled children to their daily activities. True to her values, Biba lived in Wembley, northwest London, and worked as a social service specialist at Buckinghamshire Council. As Biba reached the end of her teenage years, her parents decided to separate, and her mother remarried a man named Christopher. Mina and Christopher welcomed a daughter named Nicole, providing Biba with the experience of sisterhood at the age of 19. Nicole, like her sister, was cherished for her warm-hearted and friendly nature. Possessing an artistic soul, Nicole decided to pursue photography as a career and was studying at the University of Westminster. Despite the 19-year age gap between them, they engaged in social activities together and shared the same group of friends. On her 46th birthday in June 2020, while the world was in the midst of a pandemic, Biba chose to celebrate in a park with her sister Nicole. Opting for a simple gathering with friends, they planned to bring food and drinks to the park, play music, and commemorate the occasion. However, the night took an unexpected turn. On Saturday, June 6, 2020, Biba and Nicole purchased supplies for the celebration at a supermarket and headed to Friant Country Park to set up. As friends arrived, including Biba's closest friend Nina and Nicole's boyfriend Adam, the small party got underway. After the festivities wound down, the group exchanged gifts with Biba and bid their farewells. However, as some decided to leave, Nina, Adam, and the sisters opted to stay back for a while. Later that evening, Nicole mentioned to Adam that they were dancing in a field and shared photos of their joyful moments. Little did they know, someone hidden in the darkness was watching them closely, a detail uncovered later by the police. The following morning, on Sunday, June 7th, Adam tried reaching Nicole but received no response. Concerned, he attempted to track her phone's location but was unable to do so. Adam then checked Nicole's bank account, confirming the last transaction was made the day before. Unable to locate Nicole and growing increasingly anxious, Adam contacted her roommate, who revealed she hadn't returned home. Subsequently, Adam knocked on Nicole's apartment door to no avail. Friends and family were contacted in search of any information on their whereabouts, but no one had any leads. As worry escalated, the family involved the police in the search. Biba's friend Nina assisted the police by visiting the park and discovered Biba's sunglasses, reinforcing the belief that she wouldn't abandon them. With Adam and his family joining the search effort in the park, they found Nicole's sunglasses, indicating they were in a potentially dangerous situation. During the search, Adam's father discovered a bloody knife and then spotted a pair of shoes hidden in the bushes. Upon closer inspection, they realized it wasn't just shoes, it was also Nicole's body, who had been stabbed to death. Not far away lay Biba's body, which bore 8 stab wounds. Both sisters had become victims of a brutal murder. The devastating news was conveyed to the girl's mother, Mina, who was left shattered by the unimaginable tragedy. As the police combed the scene, they came across a blood-stained pillow and a bag containing a blanket from the previous day's picnic. Nearby, in a pond, both girls' phones, credit cards, and IDs were recovered. With time ticking away, the pressure mounted on the detectives to apprehend the killer. While the families grieved, 2 officers responsible for securing the crime scene, Denise Jaffa and Jamie Lewis, engaged in a highly criticized act. They took photos of the crime scene and shared them with friends via WhatsApp. However, the shock was not just in the sharing itself, but also in Lewis inserting his face into the background of the photos with the victims before transmitting them to Denise, who later forwarded them to a friend. Their actions not only reflected neglect of duty, but also showcased a disrespectful attempt to trivialize a tragic event. The investigation persisted, with forensic experts painstakingly analyzing all evidence, leading to the discovery of a blood sample containing multiple DNAs. Among these, one matched Biba, another matched Nicole, while a third profile matched neither, hinting at a potential relative of the culprit. Although direct matches were not found in the database searches, a partial match emerged, pointing towards a potential relative and significantly narrowing down the list of suspects. Detectives were tasked with closely monitoring the family members of this individual, particularly focusing on their activities leading up to the day of the murders, especially a young man. Just 3 days prior to the murders, an 18-year-old man was seen in a supermarket that afternoon. Shortly afterward, he was observed at the checkout with a set of kitchen knives identical to those used in the murders, swiftly leading to the identification of the perpetrator. Danyal Hussein, the eldest of 4 siblings, grew up on the outskirts of London. Detectives, after speaking with neighbors, discovered that the Hussein family had experienced tough times, with frequent outbursts heard from their home during Danyal's adolescence. Danyal was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, which made social interactions and friendships challenging for him. Detectives found that Danyal's father's house was only a few minutes away from the park where the murders took place. Nearly a month after the murders, they were convinced they had identified the killer and were armed with a search warrant, ready to make an arrest.
Mate, you're under arrest. Come out the address. Keep walking towards me. Keep walking towards me. Stay where you are, stay where you are, stay where you are. Hands on your head, stay where you are. Face me. Hands on your head, stay where you are. You're on.
When Danyal was arrested, cuts and stitch marks were noticed on his right hand, clearly recent and deep. Searches at his home uncovered latex gloves, a ski mask, a shovel, and in his bedroom, disturbing items that could explain the motive for the murders were found. Various seals believed to possess supernatural powers, typically used in rituals for casting spells and summoning demons, were discovered. Additionally, a handwritten contract revealing the horrific crime's purpose was found, indicating Danyal's pact with a demon named Lucifuke Rofocale. The contract stated that Danyal would choose female victims and commit at least 6 murders every 6 months as long as he was free, in exchange for a lottery win promising wealth and power for his sacrifices. Danyal's signature was at the bottom of the contract, signed in his own blood, and 3 lottery tickets were also found in the house. During a time when the jackpot was $442 million, Danyal had purchased numerous tickets online. Another contract was found, created for a girl he wished to fall in love with him, for whom he had burned incense. As expected, the girl never fell in love with Danyal, nor did he win any prize from his tickets. Security cameras near his home showed Danyal leaving just before 8 p.m., heading towards a bus stop. Later at 3 a.m., he was seen getting off a bus outside a park, still wearing the clothes he had left home in. On that day, Danyal had left home late in the evening to go to the hospital for his cuts. When hospital staff inquired about the wounds, Danyal claimed he was attacked by a group of men but refused to report it to the police. Danyal Hussein was charged with 2 counts of murder and illegal possession of a knife. After his arrest, he informed the police he had Asperger's syndrome, recollected it from his memory, and declined to answer any questions. During his trial, Danyal denied all charges, claiming he was not the murderer and had no connection to the contracts found in his home. Ultimately, the judge found him guilty of all charges, stating he committed these heinous attacks with the intention of gaining money and power. As Danyal was under 21, his sentencing was postponed, and the judge could not issue a full sentence right away. On September 22, 2021, the sentencing took place, and Danyal was sentenced to 35 years in prison. Judge Whipple mentioned the minimum sentence being 37 years, but it was reduced due to Danyal's age, making his release possible if he no longer posed a threat to society. Police officers Denise Jaffer and Jamie Lewis were charged with misconduct in public office for taking inappropriate photos at the crime scene. Both officers were suspended and appeared before a judge on July 13th to provide an official response. The judge condemned the officers for disregarding the victim's privacy, undermining public trust and faith in the police, sentencing them both to 33 months in prison. Before we conclude this video, please be aware that the video on the left may be disturbing. It is recommended for adult viewing only. On the right, you'll find a playlist of videos that have been highly appreciated by our viewers.